Hi, I'm Tim Whitmire with First Integrity Mortgage, and joining me today is Jeff Solomon with VSP Construction.
Good afternoon, Tim.
So I'm excited that Jeff is joining us today because I've known him for a long time. He's a part of our BNI Rewards Through Referrals chapter. He was one of the founding members. The chapter is more than 10 years old. And Jeff is one of the most connected people that I know. So I'm super excited that you joined me today, and thank you for being here.
And I thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Jeff Solomon, VSP Construction. So where does VSP come from?
I like to tell people that it's value, service, and performance. That's what VSP begins with. However, it really stands for the initials of the founder and owner, Vernon S. Prinster.
Got it. That makes sense. So VSP is a commercial construction company, correct?
That is correct. And we deal with strictly interiors. So we're an interior tenant finish contracting company.
Awesome. So are you mostly like who's a common customer for you guys?
Harry Parker, from the owner of and founder of Gulf Shores Restaurants, is one of my steady clients. Jim Hoffman with Advanced Training and Rehab, a physical therapy clinic, is a good customer. But we have Solon Gershman, Deerberg's Capital Land is a customer. We do have quite
a few customers.
Quite a few, yeah.
So so that includes restaurants. I think you've done.
We've done a lot of dental offices, medical offices. Our forte is really is office construction, but we have had our share of retail, and then we typically do a restaurant or two a year.
Nice. Okay. So in what areas are you serving?
We serve the entire St. Louis metropolitan area. Figure about a 75-mile radius from downtown St. Louis. We're based in St. Peters, but we do serve the entire metropolitan area.
Awesome. And I was fortunate enough today to watch Jeff Solomon present to our networking chapter. And one of the, I feel one of the key points that you made is that you are hiring your help instead of mostly contracting, correct? So,
well, we use a blend. We self-perform our carpentry, framing, drywall, painting, acoustic ceilings, and we use qualified subcontractors for the major mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and automatic fire protection work.
That makes sense. Awesome. And I know that you work with reputable, whenever you do contract out, you work with reputable companies because you know so many people in the St. Louis area.
Well, it's not only knowing so many people in the St. Louis area, but it's very important for us to be professional and do a first-class job. So you're only as good as your worst component. I know that's kind of clichéic, but it's actually
true.
It's actually very true. And so quality control is of utmost importance to us.
That's huge. And how long has VSP been around?
About 35 years, probably just
Wow.
A few more years than 35. I've been with the company for 18 years.
Nice. And I know what you like to talk about too is that you're a registered architect, correct?
That's correct. Yes, I'm registered in both Illinois and Missouri. And at one time, I was also registered in Arizona because I was doing a series of T-Mobile stores, and they had some stores in Arizona. But typically, I don't venture too far from the St. Louis metropolitan area.
Awesome. And so, does every construction company have an architect on staff?
No, it's very unusual. Some construction companies have engineers because a lot of times engineers wind up going into construction. So some of them will have engineers, and there are a few that have architects, but it is not common.
So what's the advantage of having you, an architect on staff?
Well, they like to be driven crazy, and nobody drives people crazy like architects. No, I'm teasing, of course, about that. Quite frankly, it helps us when we prepare estimates for clients. Many times they don't have an architect yet, and we can give them a little bit more accurate cost estimate because we'll understand what code implications might be present in any particular job. And I've had instances where I've noticed a certain code deficiency that will create an additional expense than would be ordinarily anticipated. And that's tremendous because the leases are negotiated on the basis of that anticipated cost. Our preliminary estimates typically come within 10 to 15% of the actual construction costs once the job is completed. You're going to say 10 to 15, can't you be more accurate? Well, the fact of the matter is, when we're doing that, we haven't done a complete set of plans. We oftentimes are working just on a schematic plan, and we're working very quickly. Somebody needs a price, they oftentimes want it within a week or two, and it could be a landlord who wants the price so that they can negotiate the lease with the tenant, or vice versa. It could be a tenant, and he's trying to analyze what kind of tenant allowance he's given, whether it's good or bad. And that's tough to do unless you know what the total cost is going to be. And sometimes it's a result of a commercial lender, because oftentimes business owners, when they're contemplating a capital improvement, will go to their banker first, even ahead of their own CPA, and they'll go into a banker and they'll say, "Hey, I want to borrow $750,000. I'm planning to build an addition to my building," and the banker says, "How do you know that it's going to be $750,000? Do you have any estimates?" Well, no, I think that's kind of what it's going to. You think you don't know, and the banker will say, "Hey, I've got an idea. I know this guy that is both an architect and a builder. He works for a construction company. Why don't you talk to him? He can help you collect your ideas, put them down on paper graphically, and then turn around and give you a preliminary cost estimate. Once you have that information, come back and talk to me."
That I think that's funny because it kind of reminds me, in my industry, a lot of people talk to a realtor and say, "Hey, I want to buy a $250,000 house or $400,000 house." And the realtor says, "Okay, how do you know what you could be approved for? Have you been pre-approved?" No. Well,
See,
talk to Tim. He'll do an estimate.
I thought that you guys didn't just pull out your Monopoly set and pull out one of those red or green pieces and say, "Okay, here you go."
Well, we do make it easy, but
not quite
like
easy.
that, right? Yeah. But I like where you're going there. So, but that's a huge value add that you have for people who are looking to make improvements. So they talk to their banker, and you can provide them with plans and a reasonable estimate that's going to help them actually ask for the right thing from their banker and help them move along.
Yeah, it just, as you well know, you're in the mortgage finance business. The more accurate information that you have, the easier it is to make decisions, and the more likely you can approve or not approve, make that type of decision.
Yeah, and that's huge because you're talking significant amounts of money. So there needs to be some sort of professional involved with putting that estimate together, and having that architect to be a part of that, I think, is incredibly important. So, and it kind of leads into my next question, was like, when is it most appropriate for someone to approach you? Like what point of the process is the first thing they should do when they're thinking about making an improvement, is reach out to you first? Or
in actuality, it does help them quite a bit. And for example, I mentioned advanced training, both actually advanced training and Gulf Shores. When they consider their sites, they come to us first. They ask us to walk through a building, and because we know their operation, mm-hmm. we can see quickly how it might lay out for them. And then we can anticipate certain things, and we can take a look at what existing facilities they have, what we can keep, what we recommend that they not keep, et cetera, what inherent advantages that site might offer. And it sometimes extends beyond just the building itself. I mean, we've worked the market for quite a few years, and I've been with VSP for 18 years, and I've been in the construction business, working for both developers and builders for more than 40 years. So you learn a few things in the process, I myself, I actually have a background in urban design as well as architecture. And when I was in college, I did look at the economics behind developments as well, and knowing what drives a retail location, et cetera, what drives a retailer for picking certain locations, and that comes to help quite a bit, and our clients do appreciate that.
That sounds like significantly more than just putting together an estimate. So
sometimes it actually is.
Nice.
Right.
So, it's some of the key points I'm hearing here are that you've been in business for a very long time. You have lots of experience. It sounds like you're going above and beyond when doing an estimate, and you're giving accurate estimates. I guess what other differentiators would you want to point out for you and VSP compared to competitors?
Well, since we do a lot of medical and doctors' offices, I mean, we just can't anticipate. We know what types of utilities are necessary, et cetera. And we're familiar with those types of spaces that are necessary for those functions. We know how certain types of offices work. For example, a dentist might work a little bit differently than, say, an OBGYN.
Sure.
There's certain specifics at each one, and it's because we've done a wide array of different types of medical offices. We're familiar with a number of those idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. No, I mean, experience is key. And I think that's what you're describing there. It's just your experience in the different fields. I've been fortunate enough to see some of your work, and I love it. I've seen 2 different buildings. Most recently was the Gulf Shores. And that was.
We also did the offices of a mortgage finance company you might be familiar with. First Integrity. Have you ever heard of them?
I think I have. So there we go. And yeah, and you're exactly right. So we have experience working with you ourselves.
Right.
So good stuff. So if someone's thinking about making an improvement to their commercial property, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can call me, and at my phone number, 314-581-5073. Because this is media, I'll say it again, 314-581-5073. Or they can call our direct office number, 636-720-0022. It's 636-720-0022.
Very good. So yeah, and then if you would like a warm introduction to Jeff, I would also be happy to do that. So thank you again for joining us, and thank you guys for checking out the video. Thanks.